We remove the flowers. We have the bud again at the top. We connect it. We take the floristic tape. The process is the same. We connect more flowers. Let's make this one closer. We still need them to be denser. Why? I already said, for a photo frame, so that the flowers are denser to each other, so as not to stick out. Another bud. Let's connect it. So, we take the leaves. We also connect them. Right here. Another. Below. So, and we leave one as a spare. Perhaps it will be useful during formation, when we will look and attach it to the branch. How there will be branches, flowers. How all this will be, beautiful or ugly. Maybe something should be corrected. Now, what have we got? It will be at the bottom. We made it. Where they were wrapped, they were connected. You can see the floristic tape, of course. So, here we need to roll in a little green clay. We do the same here. Here. And then the trunk will be. Next, we'll make brown clay and roll it in. So far we are doing with green clay. So, we take green clay, a small amount of it. We also take glue. And we begin to coat with glue where we have a floristic tape, where we have a connection. We connected this flower later, so we'll move it aside now and then try to roll it gently with clay so as not to hurt anything. We do everything neatly. We go in where the tape is. We approach it with clay carefully. So, we do the same here and remove the excess clay. Now let's take water and carefully wash away all the flaws so that everything is smooth and there are no errors. Where the clay joins, we will wash everything now. What happens? We have washed out here. We leave it to dry. We take further. Again, a piece of green clay. Small one. And here we take this branch. We do the same with it. We coat it with a little glue. We take clay. Grab its trunk gently. Stretch the clay. Press with your fingers gently. It starts to stick a little. We remove the excess. We take water and start to wash. Why is this happening? Is an uneven docking here. This is because of stems of flowers and leaves are of different lengths. And I decided that it would be better to make them closer to the center. Here, so that they were beautifully attached to the frame. We leave it to dry too. And we take the last inflorescence. Again, clay, glue, recoat. Sometimes we bend the leaves where they touch the place where it is necessary to smear. We remove it carefully. It's good that everything bends well. Move aside. We take the clay and carefully begin to coat. If suddenly the clay is very sticky, then you can use a cream. Lubricate your hands with cream and the clay will not stick like that. We remove excess clay, the surplus. Now we wash it better, carefully. Let's remove the unnecessary. Here we got a lot too much. We will remove it now. Smooth it out gently. We lift the leaves that have been omitted. We coat between them. You can take a brush. Silicone, of course. The silicone one is the most convenient. Use your fingers and smooth it out gently. Here's what happens. This place, we remove the excess clay. That's all. We washed up. All joints were removed, all irregularities. Again, leave it to dry. It will dry up and then we will have further assembly. We continue the process. Everything has dried up. The ponticles which we rolled with clay all dried up. Now what do we want? Now we need to mix the clay and make it brown. We want brown clay. Here I have the remains of green one. In order not to waste clay, we use it. And take a small amount of pure clay unpainted. Here. And we will paint this clay and will roll in the trunk. So, how much do we need? I think this will be enough. So, stir first to get a uniform color. Now we'll try to make brown from light green. Brown should not be too saturated. Clay darkens by 1-2 tones while drying. Here. Therefore, we will look. Therefore, after assembly, after running in the barrel, there is a small tinting. Here. Therefore, we need a lighter color. What are we doing? I have such paint. A small one. Firm gamma. You may use any else. I have dark brown and gas suit, black one. Here, I take the brown one. I need a small amount. Now we'll interfere and try what shade we will get. The main thing is not to overdo. It is better to add a little paint, because the color can be more saturated than you expected, and then you need to dilute the shade. Add new clay. Add the paint in clay for a little bit. It is better, of course. This is how brown-green turns out. It is better, but let's add some brown and a bit of black for now. You have to be careful with black color because it gives a very saturated hue firstly and dries the clay too much. If you want to make something black, you need to be careful. Don't overdo it. We need. The color turns out to be incomprehensible, some kind of mustard. This is because the clay was originally greenish. If you take ordinary clay, not dyed, then of course you add brown for a certain shade and a little to darken, so that it is, a brownish grayish color, so that it is not only brown or gray. Let's add more brown. Hue is unclear. The color is not clear. A little black, and we need. You should always knead well, thoroughly, so that the paint does not with stains. There was a uniform color. So, what happens? Now I will interfere a little more. That was not a divorce. What shade do we have? This is the color. As for the trunk, it will be darker by 2 tones after drying. Of course, we will tint it later. It will be a more brown color. I glued quickly, instantly. That's all. We leave this color. We remove the paint. Now I will show how we will make the trunk. The process is interesting and unusual. What do we need for this? We will need the tweezers. I use the most common tweezers used to pluck eyebrows. It is very convenient for me. I have already adapted to it. You can use any tweezers you like. We will also use a regular dry napkin. I'll show you how we will use it later. Let's get started. We take clay. So let's start with this thread. From this pentacle. We will need to run it a little bit. Here up to this distance. Why is it done in this way? Because then we will fix it and we need to know approximately. So, what thickness will it be? You will already be guided by how you will attach to the trunk. We take clay. Since I got a fairly large thickening here when gluing. Here. Therefore quite a bit. We need clay to cover this green color. Let's prepare water and glue. We cannot go anywhere without glue. So, we coat. We take clay. We grasp it neatly and stretch the bottom. careful there is no gap. We remove this excess clay. It is not needed. This is too much. That amount will be enough. It turned out a little thick. If you do, then try to do it subtly. So, why do we need water? We still don't need water. I forgot a little how we did it. Water smooths very much. Since it is still a tree trunk, it should be the other way around. Uneven, not smooth. It doesn't have to be perfectly smooth. Therefore, we're just satisfied that it is slightly rumpled. How do we want it? What are tweezers for? At the base, where the very top of this clay is, we begin to make the bark with pinching movements gently. At the very bottom. In general, there are such irregularities in nature. You can blow it chaotically. They don't need to be parallel with stripes. Here, it can be seen well. We make such strips. What are we doing now? Now I take a napkin. It is dry. We must crumple it. We remember well. Now we make grasping movements. Do not press hard. Press lightly. We squeeze, hug the trunk by creating just such a texture. Now I'll show you how it looks. Press down very lightly. There is slight effect of the bark. Look, it turns out a little bruising. When it dries up, it will be good. Then we will tint. The effect will be like a real bark. What else can we do? We can do it as this is a branch, a twig. We can make such a small bump on this side. What is it? I think everyone knows, everyone saw that there are small buds on the branches. Some outgrowths on the bark. You can also make small ones. All this make it more natural, real, like natural twigs. We pinched a little here and here. That's all. We pinched off. Don't overdo it. Superfluous is not necessary. We leave it to dry. Here's what happened in the end, just in this twig. A small process. Let it dry now. We leave it. We take the next one. Now, how do we roll clay here? The leaves end at this point. Green clay rises a little higher. We will start to brown the bark from the leaves. We take clay. We also make a small branch. What else do we need? First, we need to figure out how the branches will be located. Now I will remove the clay and we will speculate. So, we will have it from this side. This, I mapped out in advance, will be in the middle. But this branch is at the very edge. Therefore, more wire must be screwed to it. Here's the nuance. So, firstly, before processing with the crust, we are making to this point, to the leaves. Where there is excess clay, it can still be torn off. until it's completely dry. Here I remove the excess. And I start from this place. Now I will fasten the wire. We'll have to cut it off. All this is doing in the process. If we have a creative process, then we can think over everything in advance to the smallest detail, of course, but this is difficult to do. Therefore, everything takes place in the process. We take the wire. We will reel it in carefully now. Tie down so that it does not unscrew or fall off. To be strong, to hold well. You can walk with glue. Now I'll try without glue. Since then it is rolled in clay. The clay dries up and then it will already hold tight. Will not go anywhere. It's still a barrel. So, I wrap it around. Here's what happened. You can also go through with floristic tape. This branch will be longer. It is better to buy fresh floristic tape. Sometimes you buy floristic tape and it doesn't stick well. It happens. It is so because it lay for a long time. It may be incorrect storage. It still happens. There was also such an experience when it didn't glue at all. Fresh, good, new floristic tape grasps perfectly. The main thing is a bit of stretch and it has a wonderful gluing effect. Here is what happened. We have such a branch. So, now, if we fix it at the top, tentatively on the photo frame. A photo frame is purchased in advance on which you will make a twig. Regarding this photo frame, you try on all the branches, denunciations, how it will be attached, and look. Here I got an error. I thought it was the upper branch. Still it will be at the bottom. You will also need to roll in clay, but I made it too long. Let it lie like that for now. Here is the main pentacle, which will be on top, which I used to fasten the buds and did more. We will make it longer. The branch will be longer. It will be fixed here. We will screw it on now. So, first screw the floristic tape to the pentacle itself. Here, where the wire will be attached. We wrap it carefully. Now the wire. It pulls out well enough to hold well. We fasten it. Like this. I almost attached another branch that I wanted to fasten down. So you are. Be careful, my friends. Here's what happened. How are we going to do this? Again, I plant the twig in this position. So it will be attached like this. And it will also be curved. Perhaps it will be bent in this place. The flowers themselves will bend. So, therefore we will drive it up to this place. Here it turns out, if you count from the base of the flower, 3.54 centimeters. So we will roll them in clay now. Brown. So, let's take some clay first. A little more. We coat with glue. At this distance, approximately. We take clay, hugging the trunk right here. We begin to wrap gently, dropping clay down. There might be a thickening here. And then we make it a little thinner. Still, the twigs are not too thick. It happens in different ways, different attachments. Too fat are not needed either. The distance is approximately like this. Remove excess clay. We look. Should we still run away? Let's leave it that way for now. It will be fine. That's all. We continue the same process. We take tweezers. It is better. First we will walk with a napkin, and then we will pinch it with tweezers. Everything is the same. We take the crumpled napkin, apply gently to the clay. So that's it. We press. The result is a dented clay effect. The most interesting thing is that it gives a bark effect. The bark is rumpled. The bark is not even, straight. It's not perfectly smooth. There are some bends, irregularities. We dent it. Now we begin to pinch the most upward again, giving the effect of the bark. Several times like this. Chaotic one on top of the other. This is how we press with tweezers. You can make a stack, for example, if there are no tweezers. Well, you can do it with a stack. We make many small movements, giving stripes while applying. So, now, what doing? We do the same. Small outgrowth. The effect of such a process, small one, as buds are on trees. Brown, slightly dry. You can also add bruising here. All this will still be tinted up. It will be generally wonderful. We'll also do it here. I think you can make another small one. This will be as you imagine. It depends on your fantasy. As you wish. So, we have such a wonderful bark. Here's what happens. Here is a branch. This will be the top one, I remind you, which will depart from the most basic. We already have 2 branches. Now let's run this one. Here we will run in quite a bit. There should be a short branch here that should be attached. Should be small. We take clay. Everything is the same. We coat with glue. Again, we start to do where the leaves begin. Unfortunately, we will no longer rise up because the leaves will overlap and it will already be ugly and wrong. Since this is a photo frame, the branches will be pinned. We will no longer be able to see on the other hand. Look at what is there and what is there. So, this will not be seen. Flowers will be visible. If you look from the side, you will see a prominent bark. And some wrong details will not be seen. So, this part is enough. We take a napkin and start pressing. We pressed it. Again, be careful, don't overdo it, don't crush the clay. Such a bruise turned out. We take tweezers and begin to pinch. We pinched on one side. We twisted on the other side. All this is done in a circle. Why did I decide to make it on a photo frame? First, it is very beautiful for the interior. Decoration. Photos. I really like the way it looks. You can then give it to your family, friends, and relatives as a gift. So, let's do a little more here. You can generally make just a twig. The principle is exactly the same. We will now make a twig, which we will then glue on the photo frame. And if you do not have the desire to make a photo frame later, for example, you just want to make a twig that will stand in your vase, for example, you can easily make such a twig. Do not glue it anywhere. You can make it longer. Make more flower stalks, for example. It will look great in the interior as a twig. If you make several branches, then it will generally be gorgeous. So, here's what happened. Such is the process of pedicle. Now, what will we do? We also need such a wire of the same thickness, and we will make the beginning of the wire, the very beginning, the twigs. We will already fix the pentacles.